Hello everyone and welcome to Training Tuesday. We're going to look at a snake targeting out of their hide. This might seem like a simple behavior, but I often use this when I don't need the snake to completely come out of their enclosure, when we're not training a new behavior or doing another activity. It's just a good way to check on the snake's well-being. This way I can get them out of their hide. I can see that they're physically and mentally healthy. And I can do that without opening the hide and intruding into their space, causing them any potential fear, anxiety, and distress. This way, the snake is choosing to come out of the hide on their own. I can obviously see that her mental health is good because she's engaging in the training activity. I can also see that her physical health is good because her movement's normal. She looks bright and alert. She's clearly orienting towards the target, and then she snatches the food with no problem. And she eats hanging down. So all of that gave me a great opportunity to assess her welfare. Now we're going to move on to Pfyn Rau. He's one of our royal pythons who started out pretty shy and really hesitant to eat when he first got here. He was pretty confident exploring and doing other things, but not so confident eating. He seemed afraid of his food. So as you can see, Pfyn Rau's doing really well with his living tub inside a larger terrarium, and he's spending more and more time out of the tub and in the terrarium as a whole. He's got UVB in the terrarium, a humid hide, water, PVC perches, but he also has a fully furnished tub within his terrarium, and we'll take a look at that in a minute. But look how confidently he is coming over the enclosure threshold. And this is not a target training session. This is just me checking on him, opening the doors, giving him an opportunity to investigate what's outside if he wants to. It gives me an opportunity to show you this is his furnished tub with water, a hide, and a perch. Inside it, there's holes in the top and side of this tub, so that he can come out of this tub if he chooses and utilize the space in the terrarium if he chooses. And he's been choosing to do that more and more often. And I was really thrilled that he's starting to not only target train over his enclosure threshold, but come out the door a little bit even when we're not doing a training session. And he may very well think we're going to do a training session. I'm just filming him and checking on him, and I don't have a target present and I don't have food present, but he may think, well, maybe we're going to train and eat, and that's fine. In the process of him investigating the possibility of earning food and training, he's still getting exposed to the exterior of his enclosure and he's gaining confidence. Now we are going to do a target training session, but we're going to introduce something new to him now. Eventually, I'd like him to come out of his habitat and shift onto a shift station or a stand or into a transport tub. So now I'm hanging things on the outside of the terrarium that he could potentially climb onto as he's shifting out. Now, this is the very, very first time that he is seeing these items. I don't expect him to shift out. It's just an introduction to these items for him to see and start becoming comfortable with. So I hung him there and left for a few minutes. And I left the camera rolling, and as you can see, he didn't retreat into his tub. He didn't retreat into hiding. He started to come out a little bit, and he didn't let these things hanging there deter him. So then I go ahead and start an actual target training session with him, and he orients immediately to the target. He understands what this means now, and he starts moving towards it. You can see there's a little bit of hesitancy because now he's having to cross over a new and novel item that he's never seen before and he's never smelled before. I actually really thought he was doing great, but you can see here in just a second that he goes to a certain point and he kind of realizes that he's touching something new, or maybe he picks up the whiff of a strange smell on one of these two items. And he stops, he tongue flicks a little bit. And then I can just tell by his body language, not just his head and neck, but I can tell by his body language within the enclosure that he was not likely to come out any further during this session, and I thought he did great for the first time, so I offer the reinforcement. He always gets nervous when the food is offered. He strikes and lets go the first time. That's not unusual either. And if you haven't read the paper on strike performance in Python Regis, I recommend you do that. It's very interesting, but this is not an uncommon behavior for the species. He retreats a little bit from the food. That's common for this particular snake as well. He's always been quite nervous when food is introduced to a situation, but he eventually goes for it and snatches it and eats it. Now, I wanted to show you that TC was out and adjacent to Pfyn Rau during this whole interaction. And Pfyn Rau ended up taking his food into his enclosure to eat it there next to his rock. And TC was loose in the room next to him behind these books and part way onto an activity station. The whole time that I was filming and doing the training session with Pfyn Rau and feeding Pfyn Rau. And you can see that TC, he's aware of what's going on, but he understands that I'm not working with him, that none of this activity is directed at him because that target and my attention is not directed at him. And I feed snakes next to other snakes and do training sessions when other snakes are out all the time. And once they're more experienced learners, they're not confused by that, and it has never been an issue.